Time for the Saturday headlines on the Toronto-Vancouver portion of the broadcast. Kyle Bukoskis bemoaning the fact he couldn't get a hold of you, Elliotte. He said you were busy all day today, and I blame you. And you know why I blame you is because you were the one who said about a week ago when you did your expose on Mitch Marner that Toronto had gone to Auston and said, do you have any plans down the line? And they said, no, I am committed to you as long as things don't go off the rails. And now everybody's asking, well, wait a minute. Have things gone off the rails? So what's happening with Auston?
Nothing's changed. And first of all, anybody who listens to us knows there's a reason I don't return Kyle's text. But, you know, first of all, nothing has changed. There was a conversation this week between the Maple Leafs and Matthews' representation, and they just asked, is anything here different? With the way that this season has gone, is there any reason for the Maple Leafs to believe that Matthews wouldn't want to return for 26-27, or for Matthews to believe that the Maple Leafs wouldn't want him to return for 26-27? And both sides reaffirm their commitment to each other. So I know it's a big question that you just asked, but the answer is no change. Matthews with them and the Maple Leafs with Matthews.
That said, what's Toronto going to do here?
Now, something is different. Look, everybody sees the standings. Everybody sees that the Maple Leafs are in a position they didn't expect to be in. And one thing they have done this week is begun the process of calling around to the league and seeing what's available to them and being in a position where they might have to consider some things that they didn't expect to consider. Now, the key thing I heard is they haven't discussed like anything that anyone would call extraordinary or huge or stunning. I think that some of the early conversations are about things that you would expect, but they have begun the conversations around the league of what do you think of our roster? What kind of things would you be interested in? But I don't think it would be anything that anyone right now would consider earth-shattering or anything.
I was asking you, Elliotte. Justin Bourne and you were discussing. Justin wrote about it. The fact the Leafs traded for Brandon Carlo and had a top first-round pick given to Boston, but top 5 protected. In other words, if they fall to 28th or lower, they have a shot at the lottery. They have a shot at some of these top guys that Jason Bukala says top 6 guys are all
really
could
good.
Change your franchise. Yeah. So do you think that's a factor here?
I just think that where they are is the biggest thing. Like the gap is opening up in the East, and you know Bill Parcells' old line: "You are what your record says you are."
Robert Thomas, St. Louis.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of talk about Robert Thomas and his future in St. Louis, and one thing that's happened was he had surgery earlier this week, to a small cleanup procedure, so he's going to be out of the lineup until just after the Olympics, so that might slow down any conversations there. I will say this, that a bunch of teams who kind of talked about it said there's not very many people in the league who can do what St. Louis might want to do here, but thankfully it's not serious. It won't cost them the rest of the season, but Thomas is out until post-All-Star. The Blues, I think, have 2 games left. You know, one other thing about injuries, I did hear this today, Ron, is that, you know, all the Olympic teams who have players who are kind of on the injury bubble, they're calling these players and they're saying, we want an honest answer about where you are so we can figure out what we might have to do.
On 32 Thoughts, the podcast, the latest installment, great on Artemi Panarin, but it's like about an hour, the discussion you have. So what can you tell us?
Well, I'm not known for my short sentences.
At double speed, it was an hour.
So, so that's the only way to listen. You know, a couple of teams said it's kind of like a free agency thing, that where basically Panarin has permission to do it, and they're basically talking to teams about where he might want to go and who's interested in doing it with an extension. As we sit here tonight, there's no question that extension matters still to him. I think there's some teams hoping that might change, but right now extension matters to him. I think the teams that are interested in doing it, Washington, LA, San Jose, Florida, and there's a lot of teams wondering if the Panthers can actually pull this off, and Detroit. And I just put them there. You know, Yzerman's a vault. I just think with his history of wanting term for guys, people kind of put him there. Now, Carolina was in 2 spots there, and the reason is that they're, depending on who you talk to, Carolina is or is not interested in doing it with an extension. I think they're flexible. It just affects what they might be willing to pay for the player.
And you said Dallas, Jason Robertson. It's all kind of up in the air.
As long as Dallas's goal is to sign Jason Robertson, I don't think they can do it, and I think their goal is still to sign Jason Robertson.
Really good. And again, more on the podcast. You really go into detail on all of those. So this is Kevin Bieksa is off this week, but had a visit with Ziv Bouillon to Vancouver General Hospital to see Michal Habeton. Michal and Taryn, his fiancée, are in the photo here. They are in construction business together. 41-year-old Michal had a spinal cord injury suffered this week or this month in a game out in Gibson's. Taran, when you said, I truly believe we'll have a beautiful, fulfilling life, you are, I promise you, 100% right. Michal, the first thing he got off the sedation, said, can I get to physio? You have all the support around you. James Hamilton, the goaltender, is the one who created the GoFundMe page. But you're going to make your plan. You're going to involve others. You've set your goal. We're all more powerful when we act together, and we're acting with you, Michal. I promise you that. And Taran, I would just say love has no bounds. You got this.